Long ago, in the times of kings and palaces, there lived a ruler named King Edward. He ruled over a vast and beautiful kingdom, a land filled with riches, rivers, and marvels. But King Edward had one unusual passion. He loved collecting strange and rare animals, creatures that no man had ever seen before, animals that looked odd, mysterious, and magical. He wanted beasts that existed nowhere else in the world, only in his palace. To fulfill this desire, he had sent his royal messengers to faraway countries. They were ordered to travel across deserts and seas, and in every land they went, they would announce loudly, "Whoever brings the most strange and rare creature to the king of Eldora shall be richly rewarded with gold, jewels, and honor." And truly, people came from every corner of the world. They brought animals with horns like twisted branches, birds with glowing feathers, and creatures whose eyes shone like precious stones. The king, delighted, rewarded them all generously. He built a grand courtyard within his palace, a place filled with cages and golden fountains where the strangest animals lived under his care. He appointed many servants and caretakers to feed and tend to them. King Edward would often visit this part of his palace, walking among the creatures with great pride, feeling as though he ruled not just men, but all of creation. One afternoon, after admiring his animals for a long while, the king returned to his private chamber. He had just sat down when a royal guard entered and bowed deeply. "Your Majesty," the guard said, "an old woman has arrived at the palace gates. She brings with her a dog, but she claims this dog is very special and has many strange qualities." The king raised an eyebrow. "A dog?" he said. "What could be so special about a dog?" Still, his curiosity was stirred. "Bring the old woman before me," he ordered. Moments later, the great doors opened, and the old woman was led in by the guards. She bowed before the throne respectfully. By her side stood a dog, small, brown, and with curled little ears that looped like rings. The dog's eyes were bright, yet calm. King Edward studied it carefully. He saw nothing unusual, nothing worthy of wonder. His face grew stern, and his lips curved in disappointment. He thought to himself, "This woman must be greedy for reward money. She has brought me an ordinary dog, pretending it is something rare." In a slightly angry tone, he asked, "Who are you, old woman? And from where have you come?" The woman bowed again and said in a clear but humble voice, "Your Majesty, I come from the land of China, and my name is Yang. I have brought this dog, whose name is Manco, to present it to you as a gift." "Hmm," the king said slowly. "Manco is a fine name, but what makes this dog so special that you have come such a long way to bring it here?" The old woman smiled faintly and said, "Your Majesty, Manco can speak the human language, and he is as wise and understanding as any man." The king was struck with astonishment. He leaned forward and said, "What are you saying? This dog speaks like a man? That's impossible." "Manco," the old woman said softly, turning to the dog, "speak to the king." The dog, who had been sitting quietly till then, lifted his head. He looked at the king and said clearly, "Your Majesty, this old woman speaks the truth." The king's eyes widened. He rose slightly from his throne in shock and amazement. "By the heavens!" he exclaimed. "This is truly extraordinary. How is it possible that you speak in the tongue of men? Are you a man under a spell?" The dog wagged his tail calmly. "No, Your Majesty," he said in a gentle voice. "I am not a man. I am a dog. My name is Manco. but God Almighty has blessed me with the ability to speak as humans do. I do not bark like other dogs. I speak the words of men." The king could hardly believe his ears. He laughed in amazement and said, "This is a priceless gift indeed. Old woman, you have made me very happy. Ask for whatever reward you desire. I shall grant it." The old woman grew serious. "Your Majesty," she said slowly, "do you promise, truly promise, that you will give me whatever I ask?" The king smiled proudly and said, "Yes, yes, I promise. Even if you ask for my entire treasure, I shall give it. Tell me, what do you desire?" The woman shook her head gently. "Your Majesty," she said, "I am an old woman. I do not need wealth." The old woman stood quietly before the king, her wrinkled hands folded before her. The silence in the grand hall was heavy. The courtiers and guards watched curiously, wondering what she would ask for. The king leaned forward on his golden throne and said, "Then what do you want, old woman? If not gold or silver, do you wish for a title, or perhaps the throne itself?" The woman smiled faintly and shook her head. "No, your Majesty," she said softly. "The crown and throne belong to you. May they remain yours forever. I do not desire power or riches." "Then what is it?" asked the king, puzzled. The old woman's eyes gleamed strangely as she said, "I ask only for the water princess." The king frowned in confusion. "The water princess?" he repeated. "What kind of name is that?" "I've never heard of such a being, your Majesty," the old woman said in a low, calm tone. "In the northern part of your kingdom, there lies a great and beautiful lake. It is surrounded by tall trees and gentle winds. That lake is called the Scarlet Lake, the Lake of Red Waters. And within that lake lives a wondrous being, the Water Princess. She is the queen of all the oceans and seas of the world. Her upper body is like that of a beautiful woman, but her lower half is like a fish, glittering with silver scales. All creatures that live in the waters obey her command. That is why she is called the Water Princess, the ruler of all that swims beneath the waves." The king listened carefully, astonished. "So, she is a princess of the waters?" he said. "Very well. But first, she is not my subject that I can simply give her to you. Second, if she lives in the lake, how could we ever catch her? And third, why do you even want her?" The old woman's lips curved into a thin smile. "Your Majesty," she said, "the answer to your first question is simple. The Scarlet Lake lies within your kingdom, and therefore the Water Princess who dwells in it is also your subject. As for your second question," she continued, "this dog, Manco, is loved by the Water Princess. If you take Manco with you on a royal boat and sail upon the lake, the Water Princess will surely appear, drawn by her affection for him. She will come near your boat to speak to him. That is how you can catch her easily, without harm." The king's eyes narrowed. "And the third question?" he said slowly. "Why do you want her?" The old woman paused for a moment. Her voice dropped lower as she said, "I shall answer that only after you have captured the Water Princess and kept your royal promise." The king thought for a while, stroking his beard. "Very well," he said at last. "I shall keep my promise. We will do as you say." The old woman nodded. "Remember, your Majesty," she said, "once you have captured the Water Princess, I will return for her. Then the dog will be yours. But if you fail, if you cannot bring her under your power, then I will take Manco back with me." The king agreed. "Very well," he said. "It shall be done." The old woman bowed deeply, took a few steps backward, and left the royal chamber. Her long veil trailed behind her like a shadow as she disappeared through the doors. When she had gone, King Edward turned to Manco. "Tell me, Manco," he said thoughtfully, "who is this old woman really? And why does she want the Water Princess so badly?" Manco's bright eyes turned serious. "Your Majesty," he said quietly, "this old woman is not what she seems. She is the greatest sorceress in the world. She seeks the Water Princess because she wishes to drink her blood, and by doing so, she would become immortal. She would live forever." The king's face hardened. "A sorceress?" he said in anger. "Then are you too a creature of her magic?" Manco lowered his head and spoke humbly. "No, Your Majesty. I am a real dog, but I come from the underworld, the realm beneath the earth. This sorceress used her dark magic to pull me out from there. Until she captures the Water Princess, I cannot return home." The king frowned. "But she said the Water Princess loves you. How can that be, if you live in the underworld and she lives in the water?" Manco replied gently. "Your Majesty, water exists in every world, even beneath the earth. The Water Princess travels freely wherever water flows. That is how she came to know me, and indeed she does care for me. But she is kind and pure-hearted, while the old woman is cruel and wicked. I fear that if the sorceress ever captures her, she will destroy that goodness forever." The king nodded slowly, his eyes filled with determination. "I will not allow such evil," he said firmly. "I will not hand over the Water Princess to this wicked woman." Manco wagged his tail and said, "Your Majesty, your words have made me your servant forever. I, too, care deeply for the Water Princess. She is gentle and merciful, and she rules the waters with kindness. That sorceress, however, brings only pain and misery. If you wish, I can show you how to end her evil forever." The king leaned closer. "How?" he asked. "Tell me." Manco said softly, "Take me with you on a boat to the Scarlet Lake. When the Water Princess sees me, she will rise from the depths to meet us. But remember, the sorceress will be watching through her magic mirror. When the Water Princess appears, you must quickly grasp her by the neck, not to harm her, but to make her faint. Then lift her into your boat and bring her safely to land. When the sorceress comes to claim her," Manco continued, "you must tell her that you will hand the Water Princess over only if she gives you another dog, exactly like me. She will not be able to do this easily, for my brother lives in the underworld, and he too can speak and understand like a man. But he is wiser and stronger than I am. The sorceress will try to reach him, but the king of the underworld will never allow her to take him. This will delay her. Meanwhile, you must place the Water Princess in the royal pool of your palace. As soon as she touches water, she will awaken. When she wakes," Manco said, "ask her to summon Suebi the fish, a great fish who knows every secret of the deep. Ask Suebi where the sorceress's life force is hidden. Destroy that thing, and the sorceress will die forever." King Edward stared at the talking dog, amazed. "Does the Water Princess truly know all these things?" he asked. "Yes, Your Majesty," Manco replied. "The Water Princess knows every secret of the sea. She can guide you. She will help you defeat the sorceress." The king rose to his feet, his voice filled with courage. "Then it is decided," he declared. "We shall do exactly as you say." He ordered his servants to prepare the royal carriage. Then he lifted Manco himself and placed him gently upon the seat beside him. The golden carriage rolled through the palace gates, heading toward the Scarlet Lake, glowing under the setting sun. When they arrived, the king ordered a small royal boat to be brought forth. He stepped in, with Manco sitting calmly at the front. The king took the oars himself and began to row across the still waters. The lake was vast and silent. The trees around it leaned over the water like watchful giants. Birds circled above, and the soft sound of rippling waves echoed in the distance. After a long while, the king began to grow tired. He sighed and said, "Manco, we have been rowing for so long. The water princess has not appeared yet." "Do not lose heart, your majesty," said Manco in his calm voice. "Keep rowing a little longer. She will come. I can feel it." Encouraged by Manco's words, the king continued to row. The boat glided smoothly across the moonlit surface. Then suddenly, a ripple broke the stillness of the lake. From beneath the silver water, something moved. The king leaned forward, staring. A moment later, the head of a beautiful young woman emerged from the depths. Her hair flowed like waves, shimmering with pearls and silver. Then, with a graceful leap, she rose fully from the water, her upper body that of a woman, her lower body like a shining fish. She landed lightly on the edge of the boat, and as she did, her form changed. Her tail disappeared, and her body became entirely human. She sat there gracefully, her eyes calm and full of peace. Manco remained quiet beside the king. "Are you the water princess?" the king asked softly, wonder in his voice. "Yes, your majesty," she said with a smile. "I am the princess of the seas. I have come to thank you for risking your life just to meet me." Before the water princess could even finish speaking, the face of that old sorceress suddenly appeared in the sky. At the same moment, she let out a loud, wicked laugh, and in that very instant, Manco, who had been sitting calmly in the boat, suddenly leaped forward and caught the king's neck in his jaws. Seeing this, the water princess began to cry loudly. The king struggled hard to free himself, but the dog had gripped the king in such a way that his whole body became helpless. The boat began to move by itself toward the shore. When it reached land, the dog Manco lifted the king in his mouth, as if the king had no weight at all, and then jumped down to the ground, still holding him tightly by the neck. "Now you also come down, water princess," said the old woman the moment she touched the ground, "because for the next 1 hour you cannot become the water princess again, and you cannot go back into the lake. So come down and see how my plan has succeeded." Crying, the water princess stepped down to the ground. The dog threw the king onto the earth, but somehow there was some deadly poison in the dog's teeth, because the king could no longer feel his body. The water princess said while weeping, "You said the king risked his life to bring me the flower of light, and that after taking that flower from him and eating it, I would remain in the form of a woman forever and never drown in water again." The old woman laughed and said, "Foolish princess, you and the king don't know the real truth. I played this trick because my own life was coming to an end, but my magic master once told me that if I ever mix the blood of a water princess and a king and drink it, then I shall live forever. I will become young and beautiful again. So," she continued, "I made this double plan. Through my magic, I taught this dog Manco how to speak the human language, and I knew the king, who loves strange and amazing things, would become restless to have him. But I also set one condition, that the king could only receive this dog if he handed the water princess over to me. I knew the king was kind and merciful, So I made Manco tell the king another thing, that the king should set a new condition for me, that I must bring Manco's brother, Manco, in exchange. Then, through the water princess, the king would ask the golden fish to destroy me. The king fell into my trap. Meanwhile, I sent you the message that the king of Eldora is risking his life to bring you the flower of light, because I knew well that you had a great desire to become a woman forever. You too fell into my trap. You sat in the boat to get that flower from the king. And now both of you stand before me. Now I will mix your blood together in my magical cup and drink it. And thus I will live forever and become eternally young and beautiful. The sorceress revealed her entire plan. Then, saying this, she pulled out a dagger and rushed toward the water princess, grabbing her by the neck. "Wait, wait, Jang the sorceress, stop!" screamed the water princess. "If you want to live forever, then don't kill me right now." "Why not?" the sorceress asked in surprise. "Because," cried the water princess, "at this moment my blood is full of deadly poison. Until I become the water princess again, my blood will remain poisonous. If you drink it now, you will die instantly. After 1 hour, the poison will fade, and then you may drink my blood safely." "So," said the sorceress angrily, "you are trying to trick me?" The old woman glared at her with fury and said, "If you don't believe me, then ask your magical deity." "I am telling you the truth." "Very well," said the sorceress. "I will ask. Manco, watch her carefully. Make sure she doesn't run away while I am gone." "Do not worry," said the dog calmly. "She cannot escape from me." And with that, the old sorceress disappeared from sight. The water princess stood there, rubbing her neck. Manco stood watching her silently. "Manco," she said softly, "how long does the poison in your teeth remain active?" "The poison of my teeth lasts for 1 whole year," the dog replied, baring his fangs. "That means the king will remain paralyzed like this for an entire year?" asked the water princess anxiously. "Yes, if he stays alive that long," Manco answered coldly. "Tell me, Manco," she continued, "you must know why the sorceress's daughter died, even though she was a greater sorceress than her mother." "Yes, I know," said Manco. "She died because she mistakenly ate the herb of eyes. For sorcerers, that herb is more dangerous than a serpent's poison." The water princess nodded slowly. "Listen, Manco, would it be possible for me to walk a little on this forest ground until your mistress returns? It is my last wish. Will you not fulfill my final desire?" "Very well," said Manco. "Fulfill your last wish, but I will go with you." And so, both of them walked together and disappeared among the trees. The king, lying on the ground, could hear everything, but he could neither move nor speak. His face was turned toward the trees, and he saw the water princess and the dog vanish into their shade. A few moments later, the king heard the piercing cry of Manco echo through the forest. The dog was screaming in a human voice, and the king listened in shock. Soon, he saw the water princess emerge from the trees, running toward him. In her hand was a branch filled with white flowers. She hurried to the king, tore off the flowers, and pressed them quickly against the wounds on the king's neck, the very places where Manco's teeth had bitten. The white flowers clung to the wounds as if iron clings to rusted metal. Within moments, the color of the flowers began to change, turning yellow before the king's eyes. And then, suddenly, the king's body began to move. Moments later, the flowers fell off by themselves and dropped to the ground, and the king sat up with a sharp breath. He was completely healed. "Thank God! You are fine now, my king," cried the Water Princess with joy. "Water Princess, what just happened? And where did that dog go? I heard him screaming," asked the king. "Your Majesty," said the Water Princess, "I tied that cruel dog's tail to a thorny bush. He told me his poison lasts for 1 whole year. So I realized what kind of poison it was. I knew that the flowers of the canary tree can absorb this poison, and those flowers grow right here on this ground. I come here every day for an hour to walk, so I brought those flowers, and you are cured." "Princess, you are so wise and kind," said the king gratefully, "but now the sorceress will return. How shall we destroy her?" The Water Princess said, "Yes, your Majesty, I know how. But you must be brave. All of the old sorceress's power lies in her lower tooth. Lie down on the ground again, pretend that you are still paralyzed. When she arrives, attack her tooth suddenly. If you break that tooth, she will be destroyed forever, and so will her dog. Otherwise, no one will save us from death. Do not fear," said the king firmly. "I will destroy her." Then the king lay down again, motionless, holding a dagger hidden tightly in his hand. After a short while, the old sorceress appeared once more. Her face was twisted with rage. "You deceived me, Water Princess," she shouted. "The magical gods have told me everything." Saying this, she rushed toward the Water Princess to seize her. "Wait, wait! Where is your dog, Manco?" cried the Water Princess. "Oh, yes, where is my Manco?" said the sorceress, turning away in alarm. At that instant, the king leapt to his feet. As the old sorceress turned back, the king swung his dagger through the air with full force and struck directly at her tooth. The tooth broke off and fell to the ground, glowing like fire. At the same moment, the old sorceress let out a terrible scream, and her body burst into flames by itself. From the forest came the cries of the dog Manco, and within moments, both the sorceress and her creation were nothing but ashes. The king and the Water Princess were filled with joy. The king praised the wisdom and courage of the princess, and they talked for a long time. Then the king promised the Water Princess that he would go beyond the mountain to bring her the flower of light, the one that would allow her to remain in human form forever. And the Water Princess promised the king that if he brought her the flower of light, she would marry him. After 1 hour passed, the Water Princess returned to the water, and the king went back to his palace to prepare for his journey to find the flower of light. Thus, the Water Princess, through her cleverness, saved both her own life and the life of the king, and ended the reign of the evil old sorceress forever. Dear friends, I hope you enjoyed this story. If you liked it, please share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much for watching.